every day you preach faith as faith that looks at evidence and then takes one step beyond. So obviously you're using the mind as a way to approach a God. Why can't you use the mind to approach some other sort of value system that doesn't require a God?
You can, but you better use your mind to explore your experience, and you better ask yourself, this is the way I experience life. I experience moral absolutes. Maybe not many, but at least a few. Now, how is it possible for there to be a moral absolute? There's only one way, and that's for there to be some type of mind prior to the human mind that creates and defines these moral absolutes. Because if there is no mind prior to the human mind, then it's obvious the human mind creates morals, which means all those morals are relative depending upon which human mind you're talking to. So there are no moral absolutes if there is no God. If there is no mind prior to the human mind, morality is relative.
Right. Well, I don't know.
Follow that line of thinking or not? Am I breaking?
Yeah, I do. But I think the best way to summarize what I'm saying is there's some quote, I don't know who said it, but God created man in his image, and man, being a gentleman, then created God in his image. So the way I look at it is that we injected all our moral precepts that come from inside into something we call a God in order to organize human beings much easier. So what difference does it make whether...
Right. Then at least be honest enough to acknowledge morality is relative. If there is no God, if you are going to be an atheist or an agnostic, be consistent and say morality is relative. And don't tell me that what happened on September 11th to the World Trade Center, that there's something absolutely evil. No way. It's just all relative, man.
I wouldn't say it's absolutely evil.
Good. You don't say it's absolutely evil. And if your sister gets raped, there's nothing absolutely evil about that. It might be wrong from your perspective, but obviously from the perspective of the rapist, it's just fine. And you certainly wouldn't be arrogant enough to lay your relative arbitrary prejudices of what morality is on another human being, would you? Because that would be horribly arrogant. So instead, if you're a moral relativist, you acknowledge the opposite of my opinions about gay bashing, aborting babies, battered wives. I don't obviously know what you feel about those, but if you're a moral relativist, obviously you've got to be consistent, which means the opposite of what I feel on those ethical positions is equally valid as my position. You cannot live out moral relativism, guys. It's impossible. None of you do. And that's why I'm so grateful a bunch of my moral relativist friends, after September 11th, are going back and reconsidering their moral relativism. Because they know that their experience of life violently contradicts moral relativism. It doesn't hold water. It's bankrupt, guys.
Why? The whole question here seems to be whether or not there's theism and there's atheism, and is there a God and there isn't a God. Why doesn't he just let us know? What is his motive for keeping us all in big suspense about it and wondering if there is or if there isn't? Why doesn't he just, on a day-to-day basis, give us solid proof? What is his motive for keeping us in this paradox of wondering? Is he so cruel to make us wonder and have to go on a leap of faith all the time to wonder if he exists or doesn't? I don't understand why he doesn't just show us.
Okay.
2,000 years ago, maybe now we have a million choices of what to believe. All of these religions with all the same amount of evidence, all of them have a book. Everyone's telling us something different. Why doesn't it, though, whatever it is, tell us it again? Is it a one-time thing? We missed it?
Ma'am, anthropology shows us that every culture has some type of belief in God. Obviously, God has left more than enough evidence for any thinking Homo sapien to believe that God exists.
Why is Jesus the one?
Okay, why is Jesus? Jesus has given more than enough evidence that he's reliable. That evidence is a sinless life, incredible ethical teachings, loving his enemies who nailed him to a cross, but most importantly, a resurrection from the dead.
That none of us have gotten a chance to have the privilege to witness. None of us have gotten any sort of contact with that. None of us had that grace put into our lives. We just have to go on what other people say, and it seems so unfair that everyone else got this privilege, and we have to just guess and just say, I guess that's right. Especially for people that weren't born into Christianity and have to say, no, what I was taught was wrong, this guy was right.
Ma'am, historical knowledge is a legitimate form of knowledge. I never met George Washington, but eyewitness testimony is clear. George Washington lived, was inaugurated first president of the United States. You pay a fair amount of money to study history. It's not scientific knowledge, obviously. Scientific knowledge is based on the repeatability of an experiment. But historical knowledge is a legitimate form of knowledge. It's based on the eyewitness testimony of someone who saw George Washington. Now, in the Gospels, we have 4 different accounts of people who saw Jesus.
They were written decades later.
No, they weren't. They were written very soon after the fact. 1 Corinthians is written in 51, 52 AD. And in 1 Corinthians 15, Paul writes, "What I received, I passed on to you as of first importance, that Christ died for our sins according to the Scriptures, that he was buried, that he was raised to life according to the Scriptures." Paul's writing in 50, 51, 52 AD. It's pretty close. It's 20 years from the fact, in 30 AD.
How do you know that there's a God and that there's demons? How do you know that? Where's your evidence?
Okay. The reason that I believe God exists is because the evidence of the order and design of the cosmos points to some type of intelligent mind.
Fine, it evolved that way. How do you know that there was some intelligent hand shaping it?
Okay.
I mean, did God give you the blueprints for the universe?
Okay. I cannot prove to you that this man has a rational mind. But the evidence of his articulate speech, we've talked earlier, convinces me that between his 2 handsome ears lies a rational mind. I've never seen his mind, I've never proven he has a mind, but his articulate speech, the way he dresses in an orderly way, convinces me that between his 2 handsome ears lies a rational mind. In the same way, I cannot prove that God exists. But the order and the design of the cosmos points me to some type of rational mind, the same way his articulate speech, his orderly dress, points me to some rational mind between his 2 handsome ears.
Uh-huh.
Do you follow that line of thinking?
I think so.
Great. That's the first reason I believe God exists.
First thing is that born and raised, I'm an atheist.
Yep.
Like, I have never had faith in a higher power during my life.
Right?
I do not have faith in the Bible as a source. I'm a firm believer in kind of principles of evolution.
Good.
That kind of thing.
Let me just hop quickly on though.
Yeah.
Where is the creative mechanism in evolution? Because I believe in evolution as a process, but where is the creative mechanism in evolution?
I don't think I fully understand the question, but
How do you get something from nothing in evolution?
the thing is that it didn't come from nothing. I forgot the exact title of the experiment, but there is this idea that the primordial soup, right?
Yeah.
The oceans of a primordial Earth with
Sir, I think we can bring this one to a conclusion fairly quickly. I am convinced that before the Big Bang, there was nothing.
right.
Okay, and that's what Einstein acknowledged. And that's why Einstein tried to beat the Big Bang mathematically. And he introduced a fudge factor to try and prove that the Big Bang was not true. Because Einstein understood, if the Big Bang is true, my pantheism, which means everything is God, is wrong. There's a creator. Because everything that has a beginning has a cause. The universe has a beginning, therefore the universe has a cause, and it's far more reasonable to believe in the beginning an intelligent mind caused it than to believe nothing caused it.
Right.
And that's philosophically unacceptable. Bang! What caused that? Nothing. That is stupidity. Rank stupidity. Everything that has a beginning has a cause. The universe has a beginning, therefore the universe has a cause. What is the best answer to the question, who caused the universe?
In that case, it would be God, right?
Yeah, God is the most reasonable explanation.
Then what is our explanation for the beginning of God?
Great question. It is idolatry to think God has a beginning. Because the God who has revealed himself through Jesus Christ has revealed himself as eternal. So when I begin to say, well, who created God? It means I don't understand who God has revealed himself to be. Nobody created God because God does not have a beginning. Remember, I didn't say everything has a cause. I said everything that has a beginning has a cause. God is eternal, so God does not have a cause. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and in that case, that's kind of my view for, well, existence itself without a creator. Because God does not have a cause,
Right.
and, well, we exist, so how is it so much more to believe that existence itself does not have a cause?
Because existence cannot come out of non-existence.
But God can.
No, God doesn't come out of anything. See, there's nothing before God that God comes out of, because God is eternal. No beginning, no end. But everything that has a beginning, like this guy and me, there's got to be a cause for him and me, because we definitely have a beginning. And we're getting a little older, so we're not going to be around a lot longer, okay? But we have a beginning, which means there's got to be a cause for this dude and for this dude. Make sense?
Of course.
Good.